The Rams, 17. Seahawks, 16. Rams moved to 4-6. Seahawks to 6-4. I think it's a heartbreaker if you're Seattle, obviously. They miss a game-winning field goal. Jason Myers misses it. 55-yarder. They also kind of settled for a 55-yarder at the end there. We'll get into all the drama and everything, but Geno Smith got hurt. Drew Lock came in for 6 passes, including a heave for a pick, to kind of let the Rams back into the game. Geno Smith comes back. He kept trying to throw. I don't know what happened on the sideline that he decided he could throw well enough. But he comes back in, hits DK Metcalf up the seam, because that's what you do in comeback attempts. You find DK Metcalf, just like Geno did last week. Gets them kind of into field goal range, but with about 20 seconds left. How much time did they have here? Where's my playlist?
That whole sequence, that whole drive was actually pretty fascinating. So, Rams take the lead. Geno gets the ball back with 1 minute and 31 seconds left. They get a catch, like a decent starting point. They get whatever it was, like a 13-yard catch to start the drive going. They then get like a sort of random nothing 2-yarder in there, which may or may not have been caught. And you're like, this is one of those ones where if it's not caught, it's actually probably better for you. They then start reviewing it because it's within 2 minutes, right? So they stop the game, take a look at this thing to decide whether or not it's a catch. And that actually helps Seattle because they can basically set up ready for either way, right? The game essentially gets stopped for them while the official figures out what the hell's going on.
Stopping the clock didn't even matter at that point. Whether it was
the official's stopping it, right?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, whether it's ruled a catch or no catch, it doesn't matter because Seattle's at the line.
Yeah, so they're at the line ready to go, and then the official basically just waits for it to go, right, I'm set, go, right? And as soon as he starts the clock, you then get going. They then get another catch, big catch that gets them into field goal position, essentially. And then they decide, instead of spiking the ball, to run a run play and then spike the ball. Like, either spike it right then, give yourself another play to get some yardage, but they just kind of run this nothing run that doesn't get them anywhere. Then they spike the ball. It just felt like a wasted play in this sequence of trying to get, further into field goal range. They get the kick from 55, which ends up just going right. The kicker had made 15 straight field goals, including 2 already from 50-plus in this game. And he's the guy that has a weird kick as well. Like, started off way left and then just sliced off to the right.
I didn't watch it.
No, of course not.
Special teams play. I was being summoned to get the kids to bed or something. Check on the kids or something. So I walked out. I'm like, I'll figure it out later. I'll see the kick later.
To see the result. That'll determine whether he made it or not.
And, credit to YouTube TV. It makes it easier. I carry my phone around the house if I have to maneuver, catch things. But I missed the initial kick.
Gotcha. Rams sweep Seattle this season. Sean McVay is now 10-5 against Pete Carroll, which is the most losses.
8-1 with Stafford or something, too,
right,
I think.
Which is the most losses Pete Carroll has to any individual coach in his career.
Yeah, so McVay just beats Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
And Shanahan beats McVay.
Yeah, I forget we screwed up the rock, paper, scissors. Brad on the Friday show, we got it ass backwards, whichever one it was we were talking about.
Yeah, that was it was nuts. I mean, it was a really weird game because it's funny because we spend a lot of time on team building and, if you have all these pieces, things are going to be better. So at the beginning of this game, I'm like, wow, Jackson Smith-Njigba is starting to break out here for Seattle, right? He had the broken hand earlier in the year. He's starting to come good these last few weeks. This is what they need. So now they've got the third option in this passing attack. How do you cover DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and JSN? And it didn't matter because at the end of the day, Geno gets hurt.
Turns out you do it by crushing Geno Smith.
Yeah, just
Aaron
crush
Donald
Geno.
just murdered him. Remember the first game where they had a stunt or something that sent Donald looping up the middle completely unblocked, and Geno Smith goes, "Oh my God!" Like, audibly yells it on the mic, like, "Ah!" Because he throws the ball away. Turns out that's why, because if you don't get rid of the ball when Aaron Donald's running at you, he will destroy you.
Yeah. It might hurt.
Yeah. I mean, that was a play that sort of showed you the sheer explosiveness and power that Aaron Donald possesses, even though he's, 285 pounds or something. He's 285 pounds of pure solid muscle. And if he gets a shot on you, it's going to be sore. Like, that looked brutal.
So, yeah, it was like Seattle's offense is starting to come together. There was a point in the game where Seattle had run 28 plays, and the Rams had only 19 yards, like well into the game. But you have the injury, which didn't happen that early, but you have the injury. Rams battled back. Stafford did make some nice throws. Cooper Kupp gets hurt too. He missed the rest of the game, but Puka Nacua, of course, comes back, finds the end zone, has 70 yards on 5 catches. And the Rams also running this run-heavy style in several games this year, where they just keep grinding it out. It's almost like they know they just don't have enough firepower, even with Stafford at the helm. And I think that kind of got the game flow back in their favor, and just enough for them to come back and pull off the win.
Yeah, and they almost like cost themselves that with a play earlier, though. The Seahawks defense had an absolute total coverage bust on Henderson out of the backfield on a wheel, I think. Stafford didn't just miss the throw, missed the field. Yeah. Like, threw it out of bounds. That could have been a huge play. I was also thinking in this game, there can't have been many games in NFL history where one team can have been better prepared or have more inside knowledge on the opposing team's offense. So on Seattle's sort of setup at the moment, right, you've got Shane Waldron, who used to coach that offense, right? You've got Bobby Wagner, who played defense for that team last year. And then you've got Brett Rippon, who was quarterbacking that team like 2 weeks ago, who just signed and has been like, in the interrogation room with the lights being like, give us the calls, right? There can't be like 3 more diverse but like intimate connections to a specific offense on one team than that. And it's still like, this is going back to Raiders Bucks Super Bowl, where Gruden's just calling out the plays, right? That's the level that they must have had in terms of knowledge of this offense.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Still didn't matter, yeah.
Apparently. Rams still, everybody's alive in the NFC. If you're 4-6 in the AFC, you're not, but everybody's alive in the NFC. Rams stay alive at 4-6. Stafford got banged up again. I feel like he gets hurt every single game too.
Yeah, I mean, he's old and busted at this point.
I wonder if he's going to retire. I don't know if he wants to retire, like this year.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is just it for him.
Maybe.
If he's sick of getting
beat up,
getting hurt.
You'd have to I mean, he's probably one of those players where they probably need to convince him that they can be good again quickly. There was another play in here, actually, one last thing. There was like a 50-yard defensive pass interference call on Tutu Atwell. Like Tutu Atwell drew it, where he just got like bumped in the back. It's like, if there's ever a play where you're like, that as a spot foul feels pretty weak. And it sort of struck me that whereas being, a 155-pound receiver is generally a weakness, the one area where it might actually be a strength is drawing those phantom pass interference calls. Because if you're 200 pounds and you nudge a guy that weighs 155, he's going flying.
Did you see the replay, though? Because it was clearly pass interference. But I was thinking that when they threw it up at first, I was like, that's just his play strength being so poor that he fell over with the nudge.
Yeah.
Now, on the replay, it's kind of like an arm around him or whatever. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that might be the next cheat code.
There's more contact than...
The 150-yard pounder, throw it deep, let him get wrecked at the catch point.
But, we'll get to this game in a minute. But, if you replace, in that exact scenario, if you replace Tutu Atwell with Cortland Sutton, right? He's not getting a flag on that. He's probably not even moving with that contact. He's just staying there. But because it's Tutu, it's like,
50 yards, man.
Right, 50.
If you're into penalties, though. This was the game. Because the Seahawks had 12 for $130, and the Rams had 9 for 92 yards. There was almost as many penalty yards as total yards from both teams.
Total yards. There was some ridiculous calls in this game. They called Cooper Kupp for offensive pass interference for just running a whip route.
That was terrible.
They were like, you got so open it had to have been a push-off. Flag.
Those are the ones. Somebody needs to just call in and be like, no, it's clean. Just pick it up.
Yeah.
I know they pick up flags.
If you're not going to
pick up more.
If you're not going to actually punish officials in a meaningful way and try and improve the game that way, then yes, improve the checking process live and say, when they make it a ridiculous call live in the field, buzz down and tell them you screwed it up, picked up the flag.
Yeah, man. I mean, I want to give officials credit, too. There was a couple plays, and we'll get to the Denver-Minnesota game, a couple plays where they, like, in real time, they were like, short of,
right.
This play's short. I'm like, how did you see that? There's some plays where they see it. It's impressive. But it's tough to see in real time sometimes, so just correct them. All right, 17-16. The last thing I wanted to highlight, Seattle's coming back Thursday night against the Niners. Battle for first place in the NFC West. Seattle, a lot of their underlying metrics say, they're good, but maybe they're not at this elite level. They'll be tested coming up here. They're playing the Niners Thanksgiving night, at the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football, so they have back-to-back Thursday night games, and then they go to San Francisco, so they play the Niners again twice in 3 weeks. Then they're home against the Eagles. So the Seahawks play the Niners, Cowboys, Niners, and Eagles over these next 4 weeks. They're 6-4 right now. I mean, that could be 6-8 by the end of it, but we'll see what happens here. Seattle's got a rough stretch coming up. So